Wolverine. And again, like last time, just sketching out the initial gesture. Yeah, I've got this idea, this pose where he's kind of pounced a little bit, and the claws are he's kind of thrown his arms back, and the claws extend as he throws his arms back. So he's not quite in action, he's getting ready to go into action. So I didn't want him super springy, I didn't want the legs super bent, I didn't want him crouched down in too much of a crouch position, so he's just sort of getting there. I could have gone more extreme with this pose, but I wanted it to kind of hold its space in the frame a little bit. So I made him a little bit more vertical. This video sped up, obviously. I wish I could draw that fast. Video jumps around a little bit. But just trying to get the angry face. He's much angrier than Captain America. I wasn't super concerned about the facial features because half of it was going to be covered up with the mask anyway, so just trying to get basic placement of eye sockets. And, yeah, just getting the fists. I wanted him in fist position for the claws to extend. Spent a lot of time on this midsection here. Really spent a lot of time on the action line down the center of the pose. This one, I don't know why, I just couldn't get it to feel right, so spent quite a bit of time. Overall, the full image, start to finish, was about a little over 15 hours. Blocking in my lighting, I'm going with the top-down lighting again. Just really like the drama that this one brings. I ended up adding a little bit more fill light than normal on this one too. Certain parts of the anatomy weren't reading without it, so. But just starting with a strong top-down key light. I find the more I think through the lighting in this stage, the quicker the paint stage goes. I spend less time wrestling with things. It's easier to wrestle with things just with black and white like this. You make sure my anatomy's correct. I do make changes after this, like the hands are a little big. I make those a little bit smaller. But just roughing into costume now. I kept this a 90s costume, or the 80s costume actually. I'm just going with the really simple brown. And it's amazing how simple this uniform really is. I'm used to drawing really complex costumes, and it's like I just kept wanting to add detail. And it was actually really hard not to. I had to really restrain myself. I did go a little bit more complex with this. I used reference from the new Hugh Jackman teaser, so the mask doesn't quite the 80s one, but I really liked the detail around the eyes. I felt like it really needed that. I was going to go simple with it, but just, as you can see, that is the simple one there, but just ended up going, I needed more detail somewhere on this, so. I'm jumping into paint. I've got the basic pose and lighting roughed out. And I do jump around, like I said, a little bit more here. Jumping ahead, I've got this, the rough color blocked in. Now it's about detailing. It's always one thing to get the anatomy to feel right in black and white shadow. It's always quite another to get it to feel right with this rough paint. Sometimes it works easier, but a lot of times it's actually harder to get it to feel right, to actually get the forms to read. I want it to feel loose, I want it to feel rough, I want it to feel like it emerged off of the canvas by itself. top-down lighting, hitting the edge of that, hitting the back of that thumb bone there. I don't know what the name of that bone is. A lot of times when I draw, I will draw with the layer hidden, and I'll draw on top of the underdrawing, so it doesn't show up. So a lot of times it looks like I'm drawing in the video and there's no lines going down. It actually is, but it's just hidden in Photoshop. The line is appearing, and I'm just following I'm kind of tracing the lines that I drew originally. So this is, yeah, so I was putting the blue fill light on the left, on his right, our left, and the right side is going to be more of a warmer. You know, looking back at that mask, it's the simplicity that is actually kind of interesting. It's almost 60s retro. And teeth are always really tricky for me because it's really easy to overstate the teeth, and then they just stand out really heavily on the face. So I haven't totally figured teeth out yet. My strategy is just to keep them in the shadow, so I don't have to really render them. This is also tricky because you've got the flap, the ear flap, or the point that covers the side of the head going back, but you've also got the side of the head that's going to be lit. I've got fill lights coming in from both sides. So that was a little bit tricky trying to wrestle that. I didn't have really good reference for that lighting. In fact, I don't have reference for most of this lighting, so I'm having to kind of make it up and try to feel it, see if it feels good. So yeah, like the wrinkles here on the jersey, I've been playing with it, trying to get something that felt right. Playing with different temperatures of the light on the top of the curve or the top of the fold, and different on the front and the bottom. Highlighting the other side of his chest there, catching that reflected light from the ground. And I really like this idea of this blue fill light with the yellow uniform. That yellow and blue, it just works so well together. It's just a classic color combination. So bringing that blue in with that brown and yellow was conceptually it should work, is what I was thinking. Yeah, this is probably my favorite part of the whole thing. I don't know why, I just really got into the shoes here. And I didn't really have good reference for these, so I'm just kind of winging it. I felt like, let's make this black stripe down the middle of patent leather super shiny, and then we'll keep the rest of the boot sort of shiny, but polished, but not glossy shiny like the patent leather. Yeah, doing the claws, so I just drew one claw, painted it, duplicated it 3 times. Same thing over here. Painted it once and then duplicated it, and then yeah, just in that connective shadow there. Kind of bring it together. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.